Hi, my name is Victor Odoiwa. I'm a civic designer, which means I design technology and products, but also services and social systems for government and also civic groups. Have you ever looked around the world and seen so many different countries who, after having gone through some difficult transformative period, look at themselves and look at their constitution and say, this no longer reflects who we are, and so they rewrite it? Germany after reunification, South Africa in the 90s, Nepal, Iceland, Chile. In fact, Iceland and Chile are examples of countries who have rewritten their constitutions and yet were unable to get it ratified, and yet still they rewrote it. We haven't ever done that in the United States. In fact, the Constitution has only been amended, 27 times, and if you don't count the first 10 times, which is the Bill of Rights done pretty soon after the Constitution was created, it's only been amended 17 more times after that. It hasn't been amended since the 90s, and it hasn't been effectively amended since the 70s. There's a religious type of adherence to our Constitution that prevents us from ever going through the rewrite process. And so this project is animated by two different questions. Number one, how different would the Constitution be? What would it look like if, instead of being written in 1787, it were written today? And the second question is this: how different would the Constitution be? What would it look like if, instead of being written by white, male, property-owning elite people who represented less than 10% of the population, it were written by a broad cross-section of U.S. residents? Welcome to Constitutional Convention 2027. We are gathering and amassing a group of U.S. residents, 20 different residents, diverse across native language, ability, class, educational background, nationality, ethnicity, etc. And they're going to come together and design a new constitution. I know what I would create if I were designing a constitution. That's not a surprise to me or anyone, and you know what you would write down. But the question is this: what would I create? What would you create? What would we create if we had to enter into constructive consensus and compromise across lines of difference, something that Congress has been unable to do of late? And so that's what this project is answering. If you want to support that, I encourage you to give some money. It could be $100, $50, $20, $10, $1. It could even be 50 cents. It doesn't matter how big or how small. We just ask that you give, and especially that you pass on this information to other people so that they can give. If you want to see this happen, it will kick off in January with your help. And so I encourage you to give to this project. I'll be sharing updates as we go, sharing information about how people can submit information to be considered to be one of the people in that 20. And if we raise more than the money we're asking for, we can pay for other people. Remember, there are people who would not be able to participate otherwise because they have a job or two jobs or no job, but time they could be using to find a job. And so this money, the money that you are giving, is to pay people for their time in order to create a greater diversity of people than some similar projects, not exactly the same, but similar projects have tried to do that have focused on things like amendments. So I'm looking forward to this project kicking off in January 2027. I appreciate your help, and I appreciate you passing this information along. Thank you.